What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and now back to the video. There have been many cases of cursed paintings throughout history, with some being so evil they are said to cause their owners to go insane. A small group of people are said to be able to manipulate the world through art, causing it to be a conduit for the supernatural. With that said, one painting in particular has caused quite the chaos. It is known simply as the Crying Boy, and if you were to own it, bad things would happen. It comes with a warning. It says, "Beware, this painting may cause fire." What does this mean? Well, let me tell you. This painting was created by an Italian artist named Giovanni Francesco Penni. It depicts a young boy crying while standing by a body of water. However, he wasn't supposed to be there. The original commission was of a young boy who was going to stand next to a vase. But then the mother of the artist died unexpectedly, so he had to return home. Upon returning home, he was so distraught over his mother's death that he painted her instead. It was a way to cope. He would continue to paint the woman in several of his pieces, even after she had passed. Some say that the woman in the painting is actually the artist's sister, but that's not certain. What we do know is that the original owner loved the painting. They kept it for years until they had to sell it off due to financial reasons. That's when the curse began. The new owner was living in a house with his wife and 2 daughters. One night, for whatever reason, the husband decided to take the painting down and hang it in the hallway. They didn't want it hanging in the living room anymore. And just days later, the entire house caught fire. Fortunately, everyone made it out okay, but the place was burned to the ground. So the man took the painting to an antique shop, where it was examined and deemed valuable. He then sold it to a new owner, who hung it in his dining room. Just days later, the man's house also caught fire. This happened twice in the same spot, and no one could understand why. People started saying the painting was cursed. It was then bought by a Major Archibald who returned it to Italy. It was here that the legend of the painting truly began. The first mention of the painting can be found in a book called Wonders of the World. It says, "A picture of the Immaculate Conception, which is in Major Archibald's house in Florence, is so miraculously that it causes great fear. For though it hangs in a strong room shut up from all access, yet it has often happened that the room is found next morning filled with lighted flambeaux, and sometimes the very walls are on fire, and yet neither flambeaux nor walls are consumed or damaged." After hearing this, Major Archibald immediately took the painting down and hid it away. He never wanted to see it again. It stayed hidden until 1928 when it was discovered by an art dealer. He saw the potential in the painting and thought he could make money off of it. He put it on display in his shop and quickly sold it to another art dealer. The man brought it to London and hung it in his home. He showed it to friends, but they all thought it was ugly and strange. Nonetheless, it changed hands several more times until it ended up in the possession of a Sir Robert Hurd. While doing research for a book, Hurdis came across a story about the painting and how it started fires. He thought it was nonsense until it happened to him. He hung the painting in his bedroom, and soon after, the entire room burst into flames. He barely escaped with his life. Later, the painting would end up at an antique store where it sat for decades. No one wanted to buy it because of its history. Eventually, a man named Tom arrived. He wasn't scared of the painting. He didn't believe in curses, so he took it home. On the way to his home, he stopped to get food, and that's when everything went wrong. His car broke down in the middle of nowhere. Then, as he walked along the road, he encountered a trucker who offered him a ride. But halfway to his destination, the man dropped Tom off for no apparent reason. Tom continued walking until he finally reached his destination, only to find his house was on fire. The firefighters couldn't figure out why it started, but they believed the painting was the culprit. They told Tom to throw the painting away, and that's what he did. He didn't want anything to do with it anymore. After hearing this story, do you think the painting is cursed? Let me know in the comments below. There have been many paintings throughout history that have been said to bring nothing but bad luck to their owners. The most famous of these paintings is known as The Scream. It was created by Edvard Munch and depicts a man in a state of emotional torment. Many believe it has a disturbing presence that can drive a person crazy if they stare at it too long. The theory is that the painting is full of demonic energy. When viewed by humans, it triggers feelings of anxiety and stress. This can lead to breakdowns and other mental health issues. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, and it's likely just a rumor spread by those who wanted to make money off the painting. Another famous cursed painting is known as the Angel of Death. It is a portrait of a young girl wearing a blue dress. She looks innocent and pure, but many believe there is something sinister behind her eyes. Legend has it that anyone who owns the painting will suffer the loss of a child. Of course, there is no proof this is true. In fact, the girl in the painting is the artist's daughter, and when he completed the piece, she was still alive. The rumors started when the painting was sold to a man named Henry Ford. He hung it in his office, and soon after, his son was killed in a car accident. It was a tragic event that shook him to his core, and some believe the painting was responsible. Another painting that is said to be cursed is known as the Black Lady. It is a portrait of a beautiful woman with dark skin. She is wearing a black dress and a white veil, and her eyes are said to follow viewers around the room. Legend has it that the woman in the painting is a witch who uses her powers to curse those who cross her. She is said to bring bad luck and misfortune to anyone who owns the painting, and there have been many cases of this happening throughout history. One man named Edward Hawkins hung the painting in his home, and soon after, he lost everything. His wife left him, and he lost his job. Another man named William Palmer hung the painting in his office, and soon after, his business collapsed. He lost everything and was forced to declare bankruptcy. It seems like the painting is cursed, and anyone who owns it will suffer terrible misfortune. Now let's move on to another cursed painting, the Ghost Rider. It is a painting of a skeletal horse rider. It is said to be cursed, and anyone who owns it will suffer bad luck. The painting is said to bring misfortune and tragedy to those who possess it. Legend has it that anyone who owns the painting will die within a year. There have been many cases of this happening throughout history. One man named Samuel Chamberlain hung the painting in his home, and soon after, he died suddenly of a heart attack. Another man named Charles McDowell hung the painting in his office, and soon after, he was involved in a car accident that killed his son. It seems like the painting is cursed, and anyone who owns it will die prematurely. Finally, we have the occult. This painting depicts a group of witches performing a ritual. It is said to be cursed, and anyone who owns it will be haunted by demons. The painting is said to bring evil and darkness to those who possess it. Legend has it that anyone who owns the painting will be visited by demons in their nightmares. They will be tormented by visions of the occult and will eventually go insane. There have been many cases of this happening throughout history. One woman, named Elizabeth Bathory, hung the painting in her home, and soon after, she started having terrifying nightmares. She would scream in her sleep and would often wake up with scratches and bruises. Another man, named Victor Crowley, hung the painting in his office, and soon after, his employees started experiencing strange and unexplainable phenomena. They would hear whispers and footsteps when no one was around. Objects would move on their own, and doors would open and close by themselves. It seems like the painting is cursed, and anyone who owns it will be haunted by evil spirits. Alright guys, that's all for this video. Which of these cursed paintings do you think is real? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.